Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Hips News.
Yeah, this one goes out to the diaspora, the melanated folks out there. What makes you an indigenous person? What makes you Black? Third question we have is, has the straight out of Africa myth been solved? Does having dark skin ultimately mean you're African?
If we want to speak about, the collective power of Black people, well, what are you talking about? Do you mean the collective power of African people? You mean Pan-Africanism or then say African. I don't understand why people are so wedded to the term Black. And the justification for it is, well, it's because the European made it negative. It's the Europeans' word. It was negative before it was applied to African people. It's like they're getting it backwards.
And I think it's very important for us to open up the discussion that, not all African Americans came from Africa. That is one of the greatest fallacies that has happened. We were a global melanated planet, which means we were absolutely everywhere, on every land, in every country, in every continent, the countries they created.
So, mind you now, Moor is a nickname. That's what it is. A nickname given to the ancient Egyptians by the uncivilized European whites, people of Spain, who asked them to come to Spain to bring civilization to them.
We hate to be called Africans because Africans sold us.
Brother, you on the air? What's your disagreement? Are you one of them?
I'm from Africa, and I've actually written a paper about the Hebrew Israelites when I was in college, in my anthropology class.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed is, most Black Americans, they tend to try to deviate away from their West African ancestry, but what they forget is all this slavery thing has been recorded.
This is news to me, hidden in plain sight.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad.
Wake up.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, we have some other questions on hand that we kind of trying to get answers to. We got some titles that might spark some interest. One question that we're posing also is, what are the benefits or the bonus of claiming Native American versus African American? Is there a benefit claiming either or?
When it comes to college admissions, how much of a role should race play? That question back in the news this week. For the first time in Harvard University's history, the majority of students accepted into the incoming freshman class identify as non-white, 50.8% to be precise. But at the same time came news that the Department of Justice is investigating allegations the school is denying places to qualified Asian American students. VJ Jojo Chokolingam, now the head of admissions consultant at Interview SOS, has a unique experience with this topic. An Indian American, he realized the only way that he would be accepted at med school would be to pass as Black. He chronicled his experiences in his book, Almost Black, the true story of how I got into medical school by pretending to be Black. VJ Chokolingam joins me now. So you were studying statistics at the University of Chicago, and you say to yourself, I don't stand a chance with my 3.1. What did you do?
Well, I shaved my head, I trimmed my eyelashes, and I decided to join the organization of Black students so I could apply to medical school as a Black man. I also used my middle name, Jojo. I subsequently interviewed at medical schools across the country and managed to get waitlisted at Washington University and the University of Pennsylvania, then ranked the third and fourth best medical schools in the country, and got into St. Louis University School of Medicine, despite the fact that my pretty pitiful 3.1 GPA was dramatically lower than their average of 3.7. Now, I wanted to mention a statistic you mentioned earlier in the program, which is that the majority of Harvard is now a minority. And I don't think that's true. I think that's very deceptive, because I think you're forgetting about the Pocahontas factor. and that is that there's a large number of people who are whiter than winter in Alaska who pose as minorities based on flimsy reasons. And as a result, it skews the statistics because they know that it can improve their chances of admission. So self-reporting of statistics that a minority, I don't think that's necessarily the best data to use.
So, Vijay, what you're saying is that you didn't just check a box. You went full-on Tootsie, and there are others out there who may not adopt the personification of a particular group. But they're checking the same box in the same way.
I'm an independent admissions consultant, and I have so many clients who, they have an African-American great-great-grandfather, their great-great-grandmother was Hispanic or something like that, and for very flimsy reasons, they call themselves minority because they know it's going to improve their chances of admissions. So we cannot ignore the Pocahontas factor when you look at that statistic that 51% of people at Harvard are saying that they're
all right, well, listen, because you are using the nickname, let's go there. You've said that what Lincoln did vis-a-vis slavery, Trump will do vis-a-vis affirmative action. Explain.
I believe that President Trump, by appointing conservative anti-affirmative action justices and by using the Justice Department to go after the colleges and universities, I believe that he will end affirmative action like Lincoln ended slavery. As you know, Bob Jones University many years ago lost its nonprofit status because of its racist policies. Similarly, when it comes to the issue of affirmative action, the colleges and universities have pleaded guilty as charged. They publicly endorsed racial discrimination in the form of affirmative action in the Fisher case. Therefore, the Trump Justice Department could use, with the change in the Supreme Court, could effectively force the universities to end their racist affirmative action policies by forcing them to lose their federal funding. So, as I said, President Trump will end affirmative action like Lincoln ended slavery.
And I want to put on the screen a pie chart that shows the breakdown of this incoming class at Harvard. And I want to ask you a question. 22.2% Asian American. How many Asians are too many Asians for the Harvard incoming class? Should there be any limit whatsoever? What if on the merits, if you go by GPA and SAT score, you could fill the entire class at Harvard with Asian Americans? Should they do so?
Okay. First of all, there is the multifactorial admissions process. There are 9 criteria, including grades, test scores, letters of recommendation, essays. So I'm not saying that grades and test scores should be the only consideration. The second thing is data can easily be manipulated. I'm a CFA charter holder, but I can assess that. But the simple point is that as an Asian American, it is harder to get into college or graduate school than any other racial category. In every place where the data is available, it is consistently harder for an Asian American to get in. I used the example earlier of medical school admissions, where it was 50% easier to get into medical school as an Asian American compared to an African American. So statistical data, there is no rationalization for racism. Affirmative action is a system of legalized racism. It is a racial classification system that changes people's chances of admission to college or graduate school, and there is no justification for it.
But Vijay, you understand the point that I'm trying to make, which is to say that from the perspective of the admissions office, they are seeking to assemble a diverse student body. And if Asians on the merits could dominate the class, they might not want to do that because that therefore detracts from the ability of having equal representation of all groups. You get the final word as long as you make it quick.
I'm glad that you brought up that point. I had the opportunity to go to UCLA, which is a school that doesn't practice affirmative action in admissions. We had a diverse class of African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, and whites with a rich educational experience without practicing racial discrimination in the form of affirmative action. So I don't want anyone to believe that affirmative action racism is essential to a good education.
That was an interesting clip. They didn't even talk about how he perpetrated to be black.
No, and the first couple of minutes is what's valid, but basically that falls under the category of the benefits of portraying being Afro-American or black or so. this guy,
statistically being as a status. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Well, another question that we're posing is, what are the benefits of melanated Americans claiming African heritage?
Hello, everybody. This video is to show you who the true Hebrews or Jews are, or Yehudim. The people in Israel right now are not Jews. They're Khazars. Your true Jews, or your true Yehudim, are the so-called black person, or African American, as you like to call them sometimes. They're not African at all. They're the true Jews. They're the true Hebrews that were brought over here on ships, which the scriptures mention. If y'all are going to believe these lies, you're going to get misled, and that's the purpose of this. It's not about color, it's not about this and that, it's about identity theft. People's identity was stolen. They are the true Yehudim. They are God's, or Yahuwah's chosen tribe, or chosen people, not the people in Israel. The people in Israel came from the Khazarian region in Russia. And these evil people, who were a warlike people, threw their own people under the bus and made them suffer in Germany. Yes, it was a very terrible, terrible thing they did. But they threw their own people under the bus in order to establish this lie and establish this nation under Satan. Because they use that satanic symbol, that star, which has nothing to do with David. They call it David's star. It has nothing to do with David. It's been a satanic star for thousands of years, and it's used to conjure up demons. You can look up any satanic website, or you can look up any Satan worship, and you'll find that star on the wall, on the floor, with candles around it. You'll find it everywhere. Your true Jews, your true Hebrews, are these people who you're still oppressing, these people who you're still calling names, these people who you like to make little funny remarks. You think they're funny. They're not funny at all. You need to get your head out of your butt and start doing research and quit following this, following all these distractions like football and all these supposed news stories that aren't news at all, to distract you. You need to get on your computer, this tool that we were blessed with by Yahuwah, and do some research, some real research. Not turn on your TV and watch the History Channel. That's not research. You get on the computer and start digging, or don't even worry about it. Just believe what you believe. This is for people who have ears to hear. They threw their own people under the bus in order to establish this lie. The true Hebrews are your African Americans or black people.
Another question we posing is it our older generation claiming African heritage causing our younger generation to claim African American?
Mike's on line 5. He's calling from D.C. Mike, your thoughts on this Open Phone Friday?
Yeah, how you doing, Paul? I was calling because we in D.C., so we need to get all of these African embassies and ambassadors on your show, have a roundtable discussion and asking them why we don't have a place in Africa where we get land, where we can go expect to Africa. Why are you not giving us any land? You're bringing us over there, you're taking all our money, especially Ghana. Ghana need to be on blast. They're taking all this money. I've been over Ghana several times. They're taking all our money, raising the prices every time we try to buy something. They're not giving us nothing in return. And they come over here.
What do you expect what do you expect in return? You're accusing them of not giving you anything. Has this country ever given you anything?
So let me finish what I'm saying before you defend them. Okay, first of all, you cannot go to Ghana as a black American, okay, and say, okay, I'm a black American, and I like to move here, and this land is appropriated to me and black Americans. You can't go there; they don't have anything for you.
But okay? Mike, why should they? Why should they have for black Americans? Should they have for black Haitians, black Londoners, black French? Your reasoning doesn't add up.
Excuse me. I don't know why you're getting offended. So
I'm not offended. I'm just you're making statements and there's nothing to back it up. Mike, we deal with logic. Neely Fuller taught us to deal with logic. You're making a premise and there's nothing to back it up.
Yes, it is.
You're saying
it is.
Well, go ahead. Well, finish.
You said it was an open mic.
No,
okay.
Go ahead and finish.
Okay, well, I didn't even get my stream of conscious of thought in there yet. You cut me off. I didn't even speak for a minute.
Go ahead and finish because it wasn't adding up. You were telling me the water's dry, but go ahead, finish.
I said, okay, let me ask you a question. If you if your mother is a Jew, right? You an officially a Jew. Okay, you can be a Jew, a Russian Jew, you can be a Jew any part in the world, and you can go to Israel. Am I correct? And you can move to Israel.
Correct.
Okay, so similarly, if you, especially a Black American, and how Ghana, certain tribes, and especially the Ashanti tribe, they had hands in the slavery. Okay, there were tribes in Africa that had a part of their hands in slavery. So as a result, you should pay reparations and say, well, here's Julius Nyerere. I just came back from Tanzania, Paul, and Julius Nyerere did that. That's how Peter O'Neill ended up there and dying there. They have a place in Tanzania called Arusha. They have a female president there now. And all the secessions of the presidents in Tanzania do not bother that community there. It's a whole community of Black American people there that came out of the 60s who were Black Panther members. And he said this is their land. He gave them a part of the land and so forth and so on, and they could cultivate and do what they want to do on the land. So we have the blueprint there, sir.
Right. Well, let me respond. First, we don't know exactly where on the continent we're from. We're speaking about a continent, not just a country.
No.
I let you speak. Are you going to let me speak? I let you speak. You're part of the problem
with your agent ass. You're part of the problem.
Okay. All right. You're gone. Thank you, Mike. The problem is Africa is a continent. So if you're saying you want Ghana to give us, what about the other 55 African states? That's all I'm saying. That's all, Mike. That's the problem. Africa is not a country; it's a continent. So where in Africa we're from? Then if you say if I can prove I'm from Ghana, the Ghanaians or the Tanzanians, but that's all it is. And we can't expect them to give us something. That's part of the problem. And then you go on the old age thing. You're an agent because logic. He doesn't have logic. You know, one of the things if you listen to Neely Fuller, one of the things he says, you got to use logic, cause and effect. And Mike, you were totally wrong. And you wanted me to continue with you tell me that water's dry. And I said, it's not. And you wanted me to let you explain, and you didn't. So Mike, I'm sorry, but keep listening.
Last but not least, who has the right or obligation of unifying all dark-skinned people to claim them deemed as Africans or having African heritage? Who's obligated to do that?
That's a very valid question. Yeah.
Could you tell us a little about the African Americans? Did any of us originate in Ghana?
Yes, of course. Almost all of you. You look. Everybody here looks like you and your mother. As for them, you are pure Ghanaians, no doubt about it. And you, all of you came from Ghana. You started from her village, and that's why I gave her that village. You started from that village to Elmina, and then you were equipped here. So you all came from there. So you are all Ghanaians, and so we want you to come back and help. We didn't know, or our ancestors didn't know that if you came, this is what is going to happen to you. You know, but now they know, they are sorry.
And then we also want to know just throwing this out there. Are there pros and cons of being black living in America? Or being black living in Africa?
Teach English some days of the week, like Monday to Friday from morning to evening. You say you are English teacher, but you are not American African. No, I'm not an African American, and I get that a lot because most Japanese people prefer African Americans to African. So I'm Evans Musoka from Africa, but in Japan, you can call me Tyrone from Boston.
Actually, Ramallah is bigger than I thought. It's really, really big, modern city. Hey, assalamu alaikum. I see some brothers here too. I don't know where they're from, but where are you guys from?
We're from America, USA.
Oh, USA?
Yes.
Nice, I'm from West Africa.
West Africa?
Yeah, Ivory Coast.
Yeah?
Yeah. Nice. Will you guys live here or?
We are work here.
You work here? Yes. Oh, nice. What part from US you from? What state?
From Chicago.
From Chicago. Chicago in the house. That's nice. Okay, let me flip you so I can be, it's nice to see people here. They're all African guy from Chicago. Are you on vacation here?
Yes.
Oh, nice. For how long?
2 years.
2 years. 2 years?
Yes.
But you're gonna go back to Chicago after that?
Not now.
Not now, yeah? Oh, nice. Oh, mashallah. But you guys speak Arabic or no?
A little.
A little bit, yeah? Okay, I'm from Sahel Ajan.
Because if you listen to the average narrative of how Nigeria is, they are a broke country. And I believe Nigerians play into that. So that's good that they have the money to do so. And I also would like to encourage my Nigerian brothers to stop pretending to be American and just stand on your Nigerianness and be proud of that. You do not have to come out of your country claiming to be something you're not. Be proud of who you are and where you're from, because you're doing a good job on your own terms. Now back to this from two different continents with two very different people, cultures, and heritages. These are some of the questions that we're posing. We're not trying to persuade a conversation either way. It's just, we want to know, is there a collective answer to these questions?
The first nation to recognize my country was Morocco.
To Natchez, Mississippi, on our independence line. Hello there.
Hey, hello. How you doing? This is Amazite.
Yeah. You're on the air.
I'm kind of I'm disappointed that this country does not know about civics and does not care to make amends for the countless killing of the Aboriginal indigenous people that is classified black, nigger, Negro, or really Moors in the original America. And if you research the Tripoli Treaty, Article 11 states that as the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on Christianity. So this country needs a civics class, and Section 4, Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution states a republic form of party of government, not a democracy, not a democrat. So the Pope is in town, and in the name of Christianity, over 500 million Moors classified as African have been murdered in the name of Christianity. Now, I have nothing against Christianity. I have something against the people that created this. So every group of people have been compensated for slavery or genocide. So I'm kind of curious to see when this country that's standing on my ancestral estate, as me being a Moor, as me being an American national, when are we going to have this conversation? Because in 1913, Prophet Noble Jew Ali created the Moors Divine National Movement, not no Black Lives Matter movement, and gave this information to all the governments of the world. We are the de jure Republican form of party and the heirs to this vast estate. So when are we going to sit down and have a conversation?
And Amazite, do you expect to hear anything from Pope Francis about some of the issues you're bringing up?
I expect that because he is the leader of the United States of America Democracy Corporation Company that's dissolved since 1933, and he sent out the motu proprio last year, 2013, stating the same thing that I'm saying, that they are fraud, and he's the boss.
In 2010, President Obama signed on to the rights of indigenous people.
Now you're beginning to understand the Al-Moroccan Revolution on another level, the American Revolution, the Al-Moroccan Revolution. Got to know. Now you understand why when you go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, you see all those statues got turbans and fezzes on. The Europeans tell them in school, oh, they're Frenchmen. And the Asiatics say, oh, all right.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. Now, have you ever wondered what that passage meant from Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech? I did, and what I found was one of the biggest secrets that's not really a secret at all, except to many African Americans, is they are not descended from Africans. I know, I was shocked too, so much so that I asked Africans, and they agreed African Americans weren't Africans. If you don't believe me, Google Arnaldus Montanus America and see the people he saw in 1671. Read books like The Black American Handbook for Survival through the 21st Century by Radine Amin-Ra, What Every African American Should Know by Carrie Davis, and Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. I just can't believe schools aren't teaching this stuff. What a travesty.
What's good, y'all? I appreciate you for coming to my talk. My name is Victor Mudhama. I was born in Aga Khan Hospital in Kenya to a Kamba father and a Lua mother. I moved to America at 3 years old when my parents came to study at Pitt. I was raised in East Lib, the real East Lib, in the seminary apartments. I lived with my two parents, my two sisters, two cousins, aunt and uncle on my father's side, and an uncle on my mother's side. The apartment was jam-packed, but looking back at it, it was a pretty loving time. Though the seminary was a diverse and relatively safe environment, East Lib was not. It wasn't the gentrified, commercial, hipster East End you see now. It was engulfed by poverty, which, as we know, leads to a multitude of other problems. As immigrants, it's important to know how to deal with your new surroundings. And it's especially important, if in the situation, to prepare your children to do so in your absence. So I think this was the intent of my elders as they reminded me to stay away from akatas. Akata is a derogatory term for African Americans. I didn't understand why at the time, because I knew nothing about propaganda, media, or anything else we'll discuss today. But as soon as I went to school, I realized it might be because the kids that looked like me but didn't talk like me thought I was an African booty scratcher. So you can say I noticed the divide very early. It was very difficult to find identity between two groups that looked at each other some type of way, yet existed so interconnectedly. Now, on a microcosmic level, I consistently had to take up from my slang-speaking friends to my family. I had to defend my unique-looking food and clothing to my friends. On a much larger level, the U.S. government saw my family, especially my sisters and I, as purely Kenyan, even though America was all we knew. But though I'm very centered in my culture and speak Swahili fluently, when going back to Kenya, I'm consistently reminded of how American I am. My African side was told, "You are acting just like an American, but you are African, you're not black." And my African American side was told, "You not from Pittsburgh, you from Africa, but you from here too, for real, for real." Although I didn't know it yet, a lot of other Africans were experiencing the same identity crisis under the same oppressive umbrella that made my parents seek a better life in America.
Why did Europeans decide to designate themselves as white? More specifically, English-speaking Europeans, because the term white is an English term. When you know why they chose the term, then you know what they sought to gain by it. When you also see that they leveled the term black against us, Asiatics, Africans, Asians, then you know what they sought to gain by imposing that on us. But why the need to fixate on black? There's the work of a Harvard psychologist who I believe is of East Indian ancestry. Her name is Dr. Banerjee. And her work on looking at the implicit association test, which is used by psychologists to look at implied bias or biases that exist. She recognizes what are often called mind bug, or in fact, she coined the term mind bugs, which are culturally imposed perceptions of reality. And the dominant perception of reality for those of us who speak the English language is when you say black or use black, its dominant use is negative. Black magic, black night, black death, right? And to try to overcome that is very difficult. Now, this is a Harvard faculty member, psychologist, prominent psychologist who's pointing this out, and she calls them the mind bugs. Now,
that video is definitely recommended to the diaspora. It has a lot of jewels in it, and I appreciate the work that comes off of that platform.
Agreed.
And according to that map, man, America wasn't even close to Africa.
Right? Exactly. Wasn't even close. It was all clumped together, but nowhere near.
South America was closer.
Well, South America was the closest, right? Exactly. So, I mean, again, with the information that we were showing on, it begs the question, what do you consider, African or African, if you're going to claim Africa, I mean, it shows that we wasn't even really close to it. We were like Sister Mabah said, that we were one nation, one landmass of people, and that's the way that we've been perceived. Even like she said, the Aborigines of Australia. You know what I'm saying? We all, related cousins and such, and that even, like you said, includes the European. But the world was, as they called it, the people of the earth or the children of the sun. That lets you know that we were all melanated and that we were one nation, like you even said before.
So that would be the subjects we cover today on today's show. And as I stated, leave comments, let us know your opinion, where you stand. If you have any answers to these questions, we would be more than happy to read through the comments and reply to you, and hopefully open this door of conversation to the diaspora.
We'd like to thank all our listeners, subscribers. If you like or you want to leave a comment, do so down below. Like, subscribe, and tune in next week, next time at the same time. This is Vessel 1 and Vessel 2 signing out. And Vessel 2, can you bless us with your final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts are think for yourself. Take in the information that is useful to you and use it to your benefit. If you don't have your own way of processing information, then reach out to us. Maybe we can come together and have round table discussions on how to unpack information together, because Vessel 1 and I are not proficient in every aspect of unpacking information. But leave a comment below, stand on your square, stay virus free, make sure your loved ones know that you love them. Until next week, peace.
Peace.